So we don't have a clock in here, but it's 3:03, so we can welcome everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order. People are ready. Okay, so we'll call this meeting to order. We're here for the Education, Environment, Sustainability Committee meeting. Today is August 20th, 2014, and we're in our new committee room. Welcome, everybody. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Calling the roll, Ms. Simon.
Here.
Mr. Hairston. Mr. Germana. Mr. Germana is absent. Mr. Shrine. Ms. Connolly. There is a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that Councilman Miller is in attendance.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have our minutes from July 16th, 2014, and if we've had a chance to look at those, do we have a motion to approve the minutes? All in favor? Minutes approved. We'll move forward to public comment related to the agenda.
No, Madam Chair, no one is signed in.
We do have somebody coming in who went to the old chambers, and so they'll be here in the middle of the agenda. When it's appropriate, I'll have them address the committee. So the first matter, if you can read 2014-0200.
Resolution number 2014-0200, a resolution establishing a list of certified providers for occupational skills training services for the individual training account system for the period 7/1/2014 through 6/30/2016, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreements and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the providers as listed on the agenda in items 5A 1 through 51.
Thank you very much, and this is workforce issues, so.
Good afternoon, Jayanti Bhattacharya, Deputy Director and Chief Financial Officer for the Department of Workforce Development. I'm presenting this item and requesting your approval. It's a list of certified training providers who provide occupational skills training to our VIA, that's the Workforce Investment Act participants. This program is mandated by the Federal Workforce Investment Act, and the primary goal of this approved occupational skills training provider list is to have a certified training provider list that's approved by you, and which will give our job seekers options to choose the best training that meets their needs and upgrade their skills.
Thank you. Any questions of the committee members or non-committee members? Okay. Okay, Councilman Miller.
How many people are we expecting to put through these training programs during the course of this contract?
So for the 3-year period, it depends on the funding that is available to us. And in the last year, the program year that ended on June 30th, we served about 270 individuals in this program for that 1 year. And so for 3 years, in the last 3 years, we probably have served close to 800 to 900 people. And that's because, our funding has been reducing. And in the first year that we had this program, which was in PY11, we also had the ERA money, the Recovery Act money, and with those monies we were able to serve more people. But with this current contract for the 3-year period, we expect to serve close to 750 people.
So, if you have 50 providers,
Yes, sir.
does that mean that each provider is serving an average of only 5 people per year?
Average could be, yes, 5 people a year, because there are some who don't serve at all for the whole 3 years. Like places like Case Western and Kent State, we very rarely get somebody who's actually VIA eligible and goes to those providers. We also wanted to add some of the providers that come through our county scholarship program into this. And if they were willing to agree to our payment point system, we wanted to add them into our list so that if we have any VIA participant who is a dislocated worker and can afford to go to this program and needs only about $6,000 to cover their, if they're having a hardship and cover their last quarter semester, then that's the reason why we have also included some of those institutions here.
And what does someone need to meet in order to be WIA eligible?
There's the eligibility requirements includes their the income guidelines. They have to be eligible per their income guidelines that are set up by the WIA.
Can you give some idea of what the limits are?
I'm sorry, I don't have them at the tip of my fingers here right now. But if you want, I can provide you the eligibility guidelines. I can send those to you.
Okay, please do. Thank you.
Sure.
So the funding for this comes from?
From the Workforce Investment Act, yes.
Okay. Councilman Tron?
So we have 750 people that were trained. How many got jobs?
We do whenever, so the type of people that go into this program or the classification is they are either dislocated worker or they are adults as qualified through the VIA plan. For the adults, we ask them to provide us with a hire letter before we send them out to these trainings. So I hope that all of them who went to those trainings were placed. I don't have the exact numbers in my hand, but I can send those to you, that how many of those who were trained were placed in a job.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, that's the ultimate objective of training is a
yeah.
job.
I mean, that's the reason why when we have a client that comes in and wants to go to an occupational skill, we want to make sure that it is a skill in a demand industry, and that for certain classifications that they do have to come to us with a hire letter so that we can provide them the training that they need to get that particular job.
When you say occupational skills training, that conjures up certain occupations in my mind. Can you tell me what are the roughly the approved kind of skills that we're talking about?
A lot of them go into the health industry. So we have quite a few like LPNs, STNAs, PCNAs. We do have quite a few of truck driving, people going into truck driving. We have people going into CNC training, welders. What else? Let's see.
So we should be able to trace those 5 to 7 job classifications into actual jobs that we've trained them for and find the path.
Yes.
Give me a percentage without necessarily, are we talking 50% of the people get a job?
I would think that more than 50% get a job of those who go through the training.
Okay, thank you. And yes, I would like to know exactly.
Sure. Yeah, I will send you that information.
Questions? Okay, does anybody, I'm going to move this forward then. I was going to ask about if we needed to suspend the rule on passage, if it was needed to be expedited, or if we can go through the 3 readings.
You can go through the 3 readings.
Okay.
We are fine.
Okay,
with it,
Councilman Tron?
Looking at some of these institutions, it would look like an awful lot of them don't offer programs within the scope of what you just alluded to. Is there, are some of these on here just because the potential we might find a skill that they need to go into, or is it because we included the whole cornucopia of everybody who could offer any classes?
Well, they applied for
Okay.
to be added onto our list of eligible training providers. So let's say the All-State Hairstyle and Barber College. It's not the training that they provide is not in a demand industry. But however, if we have somebody who is interested, has a letter from a employer saying that they will hire them if they have the certificate, then, because we have this particular institute on our approved training provider list, we can send the individual to that school.
And Chandler is still an institution that, I guess had some,
The Chancellor University?
yeah, Chancellor, is that still is that still a program that,
This is being investigated right now. This list is
Microphone?
identify yourself.
This list is based on the providers that historically we have agreement in the past 3 years. But there are some here that we are in the process of investigating, and that is why we update this list on a monthly basis, and some of the providers drop out of the list as a result of our investigation.
so you're asking this council to approve potentially a vendor that you're going to strike based on some criteria that you don't believe that they should be a certified provider?
That's correct, and with the potential of updating this on a monthly basis.
Okay, but there perhaps is already names that you're asking us to certify that you are going to decertify after we've sent the names through.
We have a web policy, the Workforce Investment Board, that meets regularly and scrutinize all of this list even before, we put this out in the public.
Thank you.
Can you identify yourself for the record, your name?
I am Rosario Dean. I'm the program officer of the Workforce Development Department.
Okay. If there's no problems with this moving to second reading, do I have anybody objecting to that?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor of moving this to the full council for second reading? All, aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. This will move
Thank
forward to
you.
the next council meeting for second reading.
I believe.
Clerk, you're ready to move forward into Invest in Children.
Resolution number 2014-0201.
Agreed.
A resolution authorizing amendments to various agreements with Cleveland Municipal School District for universal pre-kindergarten services for the Invest in Children program for the period 8/22/2012 through 7/31/2014, to extend the time period to 7/31/2015, to change the terms effective 8/1/2014, and for additional funds, authorizing the county executive to execute the amendments and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the schools in the amounts as printed on the agenda in items B, 1 and 2.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And this is, appears to be just a simple amendment to agreements we have with CMSD for universal pre-K, and we have people that speak on that. Who wants to start? The director?
Thanks. Rebecca Dorman, I'm the Director of Invest in Children in the Office of Early Childhood. So, yes, you're correct. These are amendments to current contracts with these two sites within the school district. Marion Sterling has been a UPK site. This is its 4th year. And Tremont came in with the original group of UPK sites, so they're now entering their 8th year. We'll be serving 40 children in Marion Sterling in the preschool there and 60 at Tremont. And happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions, the committee? Okay. It's pretty standard adjustments, right?
Correct.
Yes.
For the new school year.
school
They're
year.
additional funds for the new school year.
Okay. Health and Human Service funding is the source, so, and this is a contract amendment, is this something that we need to have done right away, or can we read it 3 times?
Second reading would be fantastic if that's possible.
Well, the commencement of the contract
Is
is this beginning of the school year, we're making the
Which is-
adjustments. So I would make a motion that we move this to the next council meeting under suspension of rules with recommendation of passage. Yes.
Just one question, if I may. My question is that the dollar amounts are not proportional to the number of students. In that the first one was 40 and the second one was 60, but the second one is very close to twice the dollar amount as the first one. And my question is, what accounts for that?
Do you want to talk about this? You identify yourself.
Nikia Robinson with the Office of Early Childhood. We add additional dollars to the contracts for subsequent years based on the spending from the previous year. So in one of these contracts, they had more dollars left over from the prior year than the other contract.
Okay, so there was a motion, there was a second, and all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so this will go to the full council for second reading suspension. The next matter, Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2014-0202, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Cleveland Municipal School District, Franklin D. Roosevelt Elementary School in the amount not to exceed $35,884.80 for universal pre-kindergarten services for the Invest in Children program for the period 8/1/2014 through 7/31/2015, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Okay. A new school.
Yes, so we're delighted to welcome another site in the Cleveland School District into our UPK program, and that's FDR, as you see. So it's a brand-new contract. 32 children will be served in this new site. And again, happy to answer any questions.
I have no questions. Committee? I think we touched on this the last committee meeting, perhaps, that there was another site that would be coming in with, is that?
For the school district,
Right.
yes. I do have a quick update around the Warrensville School District, if I could share that with you all. Because I believe we had mentioned last time we were really excited to welcome a whole new school district in a school district with clear need. Unfortunately, just last week, the superintendent there resigned unexpectedly, and the district is in a transition phase and has opted not to move forward with a UPK program and contract this school year because they just felt they would not be able to handle it. So we're really sad about that. There's some good news in that we'll be coming back to you because the Brooklyn School District has had an unexpected flood of additional children, so 25 additional slots coming into the Brooklyn Public Preschool. The YWCA, which is transitioning from serving younger children, infants and toddlers, to becoming 100% preschool and focused on serving homeless children. So we believe they'll be asking for some additional funding to the tune of 20 additional slots. And St. Philip Dennery is going to has 34 part-time additional slots. So I've got a good news, bad news situation here, but there is a net gain. Actually, the 52 slots we're losing by Warrensville not coming in with these additional numbers, we're actually up 27. So we'll have a total of 1,760 slots this year in UPK across the county.
And so we don't have to do anything with the Warrensville contract that we approved? No.
No, you didn't approve it.
We didn't approve it.
I
So
think
it
I
was-
mentioned it, but we had not, that's what, we kept asking, where's the signed contract? And that's when we learned there was no one to sign it because the superintendent was going to be leaving at that point.
Okay, so we don't need to do anything with that?
No. We're hoping next year that they'll be able to come into the program, though.
Okay, so any questions of committee or non-committee members? Councilman Miller? Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to move this to, for second reading suspension with recommendation of approval to the full council. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so this will be on the agenda at the next council meeting.
Thank you very much.
Good seeing you.
Ordinance number 2014-0023, an ordinance amending Chapter 202 of the Cuyahoga County Code by adding Section 202.18 to establish a Department of Sustainability and to provide for the powers and duties of the Director of Sustainability.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Today's meeting, we're just going to, this is primarily here to read for the purpose of reading it at the committee, but there's also two people here, I think, who want to address this, or at least two, maybe two, three, to address this. They weren't able to make it during the open meeting of the committee, so I will ask them to, they can address the committee now, but there is an amendment we need to add per the law department, so I'll ask the people to come speak first. Then I'll move for the amendment, and then we can at least touch on what this is. And I'm going to dedicate an entire committee meeting for discussion on this particular item. So come on up.
Thank you, Chairwoman Simon. And I'm just going to speak on behalf of all three of us. I'm Mike Foley, State Representative from the 14th House District, Ohio General Assembly. And I'm with Mike Pepsney, who's the Director of Environmental Health Watch, and Pastor Aaron Phillips from Sure House Baptist Church, and also with one of the lead organizers at Common Good Ohio. And we understand there's going to be fuller hearings on this at a later date, but I think that we wanted to show some support for this resolution today. We think it's very important. There's been a kind of a coalition of groups and individuals who've been meeting on trying to kind of think about what the county's response to both climate change and clean energy and overall sustainability should be. And so we were thrilled when Councilwoman Simon, you had also indicated interest in that. We think that there's, look, I think that I think there's no dispute that there is significant climate problems in this world. That at the state level, I'm ashamed, to be honest with you, that with Senate Bill 310 that we've kind of retracted our state's ability to kind of push for cleaner and alternative energy resources. And at the federal level, I think we're in a position where there's carbon coal-fired power plant regulations that are coming down the pike. They're going to push us, regardless of what we've done at the state, to build more cleaner energy in the state of Ohio. So the carbon regs are going to say that by the year 2030, 30% of our energy has to be 30% of the energy we produced in 2005 has to be reduced in terms of carbon emissions into the atmosphere. So I think, and I think our group thinks that we've got both a moral obligation as a county and as a local geographic area to kind of take this work on and produce cleaner energy. I think that, ironically, I think that we've also got an opportunity because of these carbon regulations to become a leader in the state of Ohio, because there's going to be a real push in Ohio to get off of coal. And I think that where Cuyahoga County can be a leader, that I think there's investment dollars that if we're smart about this, if we've got a Department of Sustainability who has some smart people thinking about this, kind of helping to develop a market, helping to organize a market, I think that there's investment dollars out there that would look to Cuyahoga County especially to invest those dollars. And I think that having a Department of Sustainability which would help kind of organize the supply basically, is really an important task that I think this county should take up right now. So I think this Department of Sustainability is a really smart idea. And I would hope, and I understand that we'll have further hearings on it and we'll bring more witnesses. We've got a lot of folks. We've been collecting signatures on petitions this summer to support this and throughout the county. And so we'll have a number of folks coming in to support the legislation. I'll be willing to take any questions.
Sure, that's usually not the norm, but.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but hang around in case there is a specific question for you, Representative Foley.
You're representing all three, might as well.
You have a question of Representative Foley? Okay.
Yeah, Representative Foley, Because you're proposing and proponent of this, where are you on the concept of natural gas and utilization of that here in the county? I just want to understand the parameters.
Yeah, Councilman Schron, Council Chairman Simon. I mean, look, we're not a big fracking county, right? We've got a little bit in, I think, Broadview Heights, maybe in some in Brecksville.
Yeah, the question wasn't fracking, it was just natural gas.
Well, natural gas will be a component of how we do, what goes into our energy grid at some point, right? Right now, it's not a huge component because we don't have the infrastructure in the state to put it into the grid. It's a cleaner source than coal, and I imagine as the state develops their plan on how to comply with the regulations in 2016, imagine natural gas will be part of that plan. I think that personally, I would rather see, look, I'm not going to oppose that because I think it provides jobs and it's a cleaner source of fuel. I don't think it's a perfect source of fuel. In terms of climate emissions, the methane, there's a whole bunch of methane kind of leakage that comes out of pipes, which is a more dangerous climate greenhouse gas than carbon is in the short term. But I get it that our response probably at a statewide level is going to include natural gas, right? I don't think it should be the main one though, and I think that we really in this county could could be a leader in the state in advancing solar energy efficiency, especially, and even wind to some degree, to help clean up the grid to a greater extent, which we're going to have to because of these new carbon regs that are coming down the pike.
So what is the major proponent of source of energy that you think is appropriate?
It's going to be a combination of a lot of stuff. So right now, 80% of our electricity comes from coal, right? And if you look at
I think 60 is last I checked, but I think
it's right around 80, maybe a little bit lower than that, but it's not. It's much higher than 60. No. But I think it's. Look, I think energy efficiency is going to be a big component of this thing. I would love to see more solar. Look, I want solar to be normal. I want us to help to create and develop a market so that, black churches on the east side are going to have solar panels on the rooftops so that people don't see solar as a, kind of this funny thing, so that school districts, new schools have, where you've got flat roofs have solar on them, that it's not a funny concept anymore. And so that's I would love to see a larger solar component and help us create a market for that going forward. So I think that the sustainability department can help organize kind of the need and the opportunities in Cuyahoga County, and that we become a leader in investment dollars coming into the state, because there's going to have to be investment done in the state, because frankly we're far behind, and Senate Bill 310 has put us a lot farther behind. So I think there's investors out there who understand that, know that the carbon regs are coming down the pike, and that we are going to, that someone in Ohio is going to have to take the lead on this stuff, and I think it should be Cuyahoga County, and I think this department makes a lot of sense to do that.
And the article that just appeared in the Plain Dealer within the last few days about, I think it was almost 20,000 birds were fried in California over the solar panels that they put in out there. Any comments about that? It was 20,000 birds, and a significant number of bald eagles have been exempted because of the wind turbines are killing the bald eagles out there, that they got an exemption under environmental. Any comments on either one of those things?
Madam Chair, Councilman Schron, I didn't see the article. Look, I think that there are, if you're comparing relative harms due to, birds die-offs or, kind of the emissions we're putting in the atmosphere, I think the bigger picture is that we've got to reduce the amount of carbon emissions in the atmosphere. And if you can do this in a way that reduces harm to other animals and other species, of course, that's important, and we should be doing that. Look, as I've said often, I've got 4 children who I love dearly, right? I'm really concerned about what the state of the planet's going to be in 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now. And the harm that I think is, scientifically proven, 97% of scientists now agree that carbon emissions, greenhouse gases are frying the planet, right? And we've got to reduce those harms. And I think that that's both a moral obligation for government leaders. I also see it as an opportunity for us in Cuyahoga County to take advantage of it and hopefully become a leader in the state of Ohio.
Thank you. I think Mr. Pipsney wants to have a comment. Thank you, Representative Foley.
Thank you. I appreciate
Very
it.
much. We'll see you again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm the Executive Director of Environmental Health Watch. We're a grassroots advocacy organization that works for healthy homes, communities, and climate. I wanted to add, this isn't just about energy sources, it's about energy usage. We have an aging housing stock throughout Cuyahoga County. 80% of our homes were built before 1980. 60% are at least 50 years old. About 25% of CO2 emissions come from our housing stock. So if we can layer funding that comes in through the county with federal funding, we're going to have to address our aging infrastructure eventually. And if we can do it smarter and invest in energy efficiency, we can reduce CO2 emissions and bring income into these households, the low-income households in the community. So I just wanted to stress it's not just about energy production, it's about usage and smart use. So,
And I'm a big fan of making more efficient use of our buildings, tighter, sealer, everything like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
President Connolly.
Oh, thank you. I think it's a really good idea. I think that somewhere down the line, I've asked, do we have a model, if there one in another jurisdiction, and the budget, and how many people it would hire, involve. And I'm really interested in the rooftop gardens, which, you can grow food on the roofs, and also, the idea of the biocellars, where you tear down the house and then use the foundation, and build up to grow crops and urban farming. So I think this is a very good idea. And I was concerned that we're going to try to interface with other government agencies. We're just starting within the county, so at some point it could expand. But we certainly could have consultants and people available to work with other cities. So I think it's a good idea.
Thank you, Madam President. And we'll get into the detail at the next meeting, but this is not envisioned to be a huge office at this point. It would be beginning just with the director under the executive and be able to see where we go from there as a point person who has the knowledge and expertise to be able to coordinate all these efforts that need to be done. And I want to mention that we had an energy audit on all the municipal complexes. I don't know if council knew that it was stimulus money that funded the audits of the buildings, but there was nothing there to follow up with. So this will help coordinate that and see if we're looking at outside investors to help with the financing of the municipal buildings. We also have a city that wants to go off grid entirely with their lighting and to convert to solar. So we'll have the municipality reps coming in to talk about that opportunity. And if that can happen, we will definitely be leaders in this whole state, and Cuyahoga County can be a place to look to help us move where we need to go, and we'll go anyways. And I think your other question, I forgot, Madam President. Oh, Boulder. Yeah, well, it would be one, basically, a director perhaps and an assistant, so the budget won't be big. And in terms of models, I've looked throughout the country on different models. We have one at the City of Cleveland. I've been looking at Boulder, Colorado. And what they do uniquely is they help residents. It's a place to contact for residents on how they can actually transform their own homes into more efficient dwellings, and help them coordinate the how to get panels, solar panels. And so I'm looking at different models, and there's a lot we can do with this, especially with those energy audits out there waiting to be fulfilled. So that's it in a nutshell, but if there's, Councilman Miller, co-sponsor, thank you very much.
Yes, I'd also like to expand the discussion a little bit. I recently had the opportunity to read the book Food Choice and Sustainability by Dr. Richard Oppenlander, which, while somewhat long and tedious, I would recommend to everyone. And he documented that the raising of livestock for human consumption is grossly inefficient and is one of the leading causes of depletion of the world's land and resources, destruction of rainforest, and climate change. 80,000 acres per day of rainforests are being destroyed, most of it to provide land to raise livestock. 45% of the land on Earth is used to raise animals and food to feed them. Only 5% is used to grow plant-based foods consumed directly by humans, but that 5% supplies 80% of the calories consumed by humans. 1 acre of land can produce 300 pounds of beef under the most favorable conditions, but can also provide 68,000 pounds of strawberries. It takes 8 pounds of feed to add 1 pound to the weight of a cow, and not all of the cow can be used. It is just inefficient to feed grains to humans so that we can then eat the animal. To feed grains to animals so we can then eat the animals. Fishing is not any better. We are rapidly exhausting the world's resources through overfishing. All primary fishing stocks are exploited or on the verge of collapse. I must confess that I have not yet made the shift to a totally vegan diet, but this gives us so much to think about. I bring this up because our current path on food choice is totally unsustainable. When we think about sustainability, we usually think about things like energy conservation, renewable energy, and reversing urban sprawl. Of course, these things are vitally important. But there's 2 points that I want to make. One is that we need serious thinking and action around food choice as well to be part of our sustainability program. And the second thing is that it's not just about climate change. It's the depletion of land resources, the depletion of rainforests, the depletion of water resources, the Ogallala Aquifer in the plains is expected to be totally depleted within 20 years. And you know, even for those that don't believe in climate change, if climate change doesn't get us, these other things will if we don't change the path we're on. So I greatly commend you for bringing this up, and I support the legislation.
Thank you so much, Councilman Miller.
You had indicated that we had done an audit of buildings, and you said there was nothing that could be done with that. We have Bonnie right here. I'd scratched my head to say, why on earth is there data points that says that we can have a more efficient and effective building, and we don't have anything that we could be doing that data? My guess is that you do use that data to probably analyze the efficiency and effectiveness of our buildings.
I'm sorry, it's not the county buildings, it's municipal buildings that we don't, so we don't have, the municipalities are the ones who receive these audits, and we don't have the fund, the cities don't have funding right now to make the corrections to what the audits recommended. So it's not a question of the county stepping into every municipality. It's funding from the cities themselves.
I was with the mayor of Seven Hills, and they had that same audit, and they found the funding for putting the solar panels on, correcting the problem, and even though they claimed they had no money, they were able to find the money, eventually get it done and address the problem.
Yeah, Seven Hills out of how many communities, should I ask? You know, that they were lucky and have resources, and they're one of our wealthier communities in the county.
Contrary, they were not. They had to go out and borrow the funds.
Okay, of course, there was financing, but they had a stake in the game. I'm very involved with what happened there, Councilman Tron. So I don't expect this committee meeting to be a place to argue. Seven Hills was successful. That was one. I can give you a list of all the other municipalities that were incapable of getting the financing. So wouldn't it be great if Cuyahoga County stepped up to assist them with the coordination of those projects? And I think Bonnie Tiwan has a lot of knowledge and expertise, but she certainly can't wear every single hat in this county to help with the intricacy of financing and efficiency standards. I'm speaking on behalf of Bonnie. So I'm going to just have a few points I want to make. We were in committee yesterday, in Councilman Gallagher's committee at Justice and Safety, addressing and talking about the algae bloom. So one way to look at climate change is we have to get resources to fight back and try to see what we're going to do to defend off all the ill effects, these 100-year rainstorms that become more strenuous every single year. We have algae blooms. We have adjusting climate that impacts the animals. It really is going to require us to come up with resources on how to combat this, the flooding that we've seen. This is a way to counteract those effects, to mitigate those effects. And if we're going to invest in this issue, let's come at it so we can mitigate the ill effects so we have less money to spend down the road. Council Miller was correct that the leading source of climate carbon is not carbon, it's actually methane gas. The United Nations did a report on the agriculture industry, which really is the hugest contributor toward climate change, are those emissions from the methane and the land use. So when we do look at this, we do look at food and how that would come into this. I can't say. I will say I've been plant-based. I've been vegan for almost 8 years and almost 20 vegetarian. And as we look at our world hunger, it is true that our resources are going into the wrong place. We could be feeding a lot of people. But that's just a side note. Councilman Miller brought it up. I don't usually talk about that, but it is relevant to us coming out of the paradigm we're currently in. There's one technical amendment that I want to council committee to look at that our law department has asked that we add. So if we go to the resolution itself, section 202.18A1. And my dog is vegetarian. I'm just going to segue into our next. We have our. He's a little pescatarian, but not. I'll anyway, so this is page 2 of the ordinance, and law director or law department, you want this to go into 202.18A1 at the end of that paragraph, right?
That's correct.
And I'm going to read what the language is we want to add. This is relevant to the creating the Department of Sustainability itself, which will be under the supervision of the county executive. And the law department wants language added that the department shall be its own appointing authority pursuant to the county charter and county code. And do you want to explain why you want that in there?
Similar to the other departments for the county, it's to make sure that when we're dealing with bumping and reinstatement issues, that everyone knows that the department acts as its own entity, and we don't have issues with people trying to jump over in between departments.
Okay. So I'm going to move that we amend this to include this proposed language. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
second. I just have a question.
Sure.
I thought one of the ideas of county government was that we would have employees that could work, we had all these silos, I hate that term, but we had all these different departments where, you work for the hours or a quarter, and that one of the ideas of the county government was that we could have people that, could work in all the parts of the government. So this actually defeats that idea.
Well, this is more along the lines of
Secretary, you could be a secretary in whatever department.
that's potentially it could be, but one of the issues is with the size of our county and the personnel. What this would trigger a lot of bumping issues would go across. It would make it a lot more difficult when dealing with issues. If layoffs were necessary or bringing people back, we would end up, it could be triggering not only just with this department, but could have effect on all the departments moving forward.
Yeah, I don't want to hammer the point, but that was one of Mr. Fitzgerald's thing, where we're going to have all the county employees are going to be equal and they can all work in all different departments. And I see the logic of what you're saying, but that was early on. I remember that very specifically. I support the idea, but I just want to throw that out.
Well, Madam Chair, how does that work on the bumping, right? So if somebody is capable and qualified, do we, under this proviso, one of the things in every industry, and I hope in county government, is that we're going to be cross-training so that you do have mutual abilities to move from one department to the next. That's the way in which you do actually get more efficiency and effectiveness out of it. In case somebody's sick and all that kind of stuff, and eventually if somebody does leave, why wouldn't we want to be able to have somebody who's cross-trained and be able to move from one department to the next?
Well, you could do that, but within respect to how you would do the process or bumping within, you selectively separate out these departments, and then you have a seniority-based system within there. It's very easy to tell when layoffs or restatements happen, how things and people are going to be able to be brought back. And if you lose that system, it becomes much more complex in executing those types of things.
For a different subject for a different committee, it sounds like I would love to get up to speed on that, because one of the more efficient and effective ways everybody else is going is cross-training and being able to move people from one area of service to another area of service. Thank you. I'll support what we're doing, but I would really like to dig into this, because I don't think that we're building efficiency, and if our structure is going to resist being able to cross-train people from one area to another. I mean, we got to be able to collect money, be a treasurer. We got to be able to go over and be in the CFO's office. We got to be able to do things where we've got cross-trained individuals and like. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe this will go to Councilwoman Conwell's committee to delve into this, but for purpose of today, I appreciate it. I move that we amend it, and I had a second from our president. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so this resolution has been amended, and it will be held in committee for further discussion. Thank you, everybody. Okay, next item.
Ordinance number 2014-0024, an ordinance setting the fee structure for Cuyahoga County animal shelter dog adoptions and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
Will this only be for vegan dogs?
Marion, okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm happy to say that we have our new kennel manager here today. Mindy, want to come on up and introduce yourself and maybe tell the committee how long you've been at the kennel and how it's going. And then we'll talk about the fees.
Thank you. I'm Mindy Naccioni. I'm the kennel manager at the animal shelter. I came on about a year ago, and over this past year, we've spent a lot of time revitalizing the animal shelter, bringing some public awareness, really promoting new structure and operations, and reminding the community of the service that we provide to them. In doing so, we've seen some great successes and a lot of public awareness that we were looking for, but we've also seen an increase in our animal intake. So in 2014, while we've been very successful at our increasing our live release rate, we've also seen about a 25% increase in our dog intake. And in doing so, we are challenged to keep happy, healthy, friendly dogs leaving our building in placement or in transfer to another facility and not increasing our euthanasia rate. So we're coming today asking for setting some fee structure to allow reduced fee adoptions or bonded pairs or what we call long-termers, dogs that sit in the facility passed over for extended periods of time, and changing that fee structure such to promote them and potentially move them out of the facility and make space or alleviate the stress, which can also trickle down into many other areas as financially and then to the medical needs of the animals.
So just for the committee's knowledge, and particularly the president who asked about the fee right now is $70 for the adoption fee and with an addition of $20 for a light dog license.
That's correct.
So it's $90 to adopt a dog from the county, which, Madam President, you asked at the council meeting how that came to be, and it actually was a resolution from the commissioners back in 2008, which established the rate. And the Ohio Revised Code, I think, does not allow for any deviation unless there's something at least on record indicating that there's flexibility in those fees. So this particular ordinance gives the director and animal public works director and animal shelter manager the ability to have some flexibility in certain circumstances, and we've left it pretty broad, but bonded pairs can have a special rate, or if there's a promotional event. Just recently, there was an event with, there's now shelters coordinating with our county shelter. Things have changed so dramatically since we started the new government at that shelter. It's amazing. There's collaboration, there's cooperation. There are doing joint events, and a lot of the other shelters now, Cleveland Animal Protective League has really rock bottom drop rates. I mean, cats are like $10, sometimes they're free, dogs rates are really low. So in order to coordinate and keep up with the ability to adopt out, it's really important that flexibility is there, because we don't want to see our dogs being euthanized if there's a chance to get them out of the shelter at one of these events. So all these factors are set forth in the ordinance. which will provide flexibility to change that rate of adoption for these circumstances. So any questions?
It's that I attend the contracts and purchasing board meetings, and it's almost monthly that we have emergencies where dogs have to be treated at the kennels, and on an emergency basis, it's very expensive. I mean, it can be $1,000 or a couple $1,000 for a single treatment, and just to say that to keep the dogs moving out into adoptive homes is just it's just better, and if the flexibility on the cost is going to help with that, I think in the long run we're going to be ahead. So I'm speaking on behalf of the legislation.
I just want to say on Saturday morning when I go to Shaker Market and buy those smoked bones for my dogs, I'll be in disguise so we can. They're great bones for anybody that has a dog. Entertain your dog for hours, you know. But anyway, they are meat. But anyway, I don't eat them.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I think this is really great because I know that these promotional really get events and like you say, when dogs have been together, they're like people. You can't just separate them. I was concerned. I would do about the hours. 'Cause I know at one point there was concern about the hours because everybody can't come out like during the day. To adopt a dog, and a lot of times families want to come in the evening. So do you have evening hours now?
The evening hours have been extended on Thursdays and Fridays until 6 p.m. We also will be extending our Sunday hours here. We have a tentative date for, I think, the third week of September that includes some Sunday hours as well. So we see good results in those evening hours that we're there on Thursdays and Fridays where we stay a little bit later. Our staffing levels have come up and we're almost at a full staffing. We will be here in about a few weeks, and then we will consider extending those hours during Mondays and Tuesdays as well, and moving into probably 2015.
And I will say another comment that I had. Know somebody that did community work service out at the kennel, and he was very pleased. I mean, he had a good experience. And so I just want to make sure that I understand this. So the state statute had set the rate at, or the commissioners had set the rate at $90. So this would then give the kennel the ability to vary those rates, and it would encourage adoptions. Okay.
Yeah, the rate would remain the same overall, but for special circumstances, there would be flexibility.
Yeah, and so is there a sort of a catch-all phrase that we can give the director the discretion if there's some unusual circumstances to waive the fee?
To waive it altogether?
Yeah, I mean, I think it wouldn't happen often, but there might be some, some rare occasion.
I think we have the language, it just gives the director flexibility to change the fee from time to time as circumstances dictate based on the factors. So there's enough latitude, I think, if there's some cases where a dog's been there too long.
And then one other question, do you still work with the rescue societies and transfer the dogs out that way?
We do. We've actually, this year in particular, we've actually increased our transfers out to different facilities, whether it be the Cleveland APL, for instance, or some of the rescue groups. We've increased that amount to almost over 50%. I think it's right around like 52%. We also hold an event the second Sunday of every month seasonally. It's called the Mutt Strut and Mingle, where the rescue groups come and they set up on the county property, and we have a community adoption event for all individuals to come and promote the rescue animals as well as our own. What we've seen really great success in promoting our dogs on those Sundays, but what we've also seen is the rescue groups working together. We have a group called Wags for Warriors that comes and they bring dogs that are only service-trained dogs, and they're there only to promote what they do and the service that they provide. Well, in being there and being with the other rescue community, other rescue groups, they have taken in those dogs and brought them into their program and then placed them with veterans who need the therapy dogs. We've seen a lot of success in embracing each other together. And then, of course, I have to plug our big event, which is next month at Project Runway at Whiskey Island, which will include the rescue groups as well.
Yeah, the rescue groups are really good. I mean, they will really come and pick up a dog and, you know, if it's a particular breed. So that's really good. All right, thank you.
Sure.
And I'd like to be a co-sponsor.
Thank you. And I don't think Mindy's really talking up of what she's done. She's being quite coy about it. I mean, she has literally, with the help and support of Bonnie and the staff that's there, it's absolutely amazing. We have a new volunteer coordinator. Euthanasia's down significantly. How much?
11.8% is our euthanasia rate currently.
Which is
Significantly down. 3 years ago, it was at 46%, 48% the year previous to that. 1 out of 2 dogs would be euthanized when they come into our facility. Now, the chances of a dog being euthanized, it is for public safety or for the health of the animal. So we've changed that considerably, but we do still see an average of anywhere from around 40 to 50 dogs come in weekly. Our peak year this year, we had 75 dogs come in a week. Wow. We have 113 comfortably that we can keep in the facility. So when 75 dogs come in a week, we're really challenged to get them in, maintain the law. We have to hold them for owners to reunite. So it puts a lot of burden, and then it also brings in disease. It's hard to maintain disease with the animals when you have that many.
So I want to thank you for coming, and maybe you can come in next year, and Councilman Sharon has a question, but I'd like you to be able to update us how things are going.
Yeah, well, my congratulations to you. 'Cause, this is near and dear to my heart also, and we're actually, because Rescue Village is very close to our home out there, and we've adopted a number of animals from there in the past, dogs and cats. No, I just want to make sure I understood. It's down to 11% of the animals are euphemized, or you're down 11% of the total percentage of what it was?
We're down to 11.8% of our total impound, which our total population that comes in has been euthanized this year.
Okay.
It's down 18% from last year, and in previous years, it sat around 46, 48% were euthanized. And so it's a very successful rate. We recently had a facility in Florida that contacted us and said, you know, our live release rate, which is any animal that leaves physically leaves your building alive, our live release rate is 15%. We're euthanizing 85% of our animals. Wow. What are you all doing? How is your rate so high? I know Councilman Simon is very familiar with this, but if you know a little bit about the no-kill legislation and what they're talking about, no-kill, there's a movement for no-kill CLE. The language no-kill means anything less than 10%, so it's a little misleading. For a municipal shelter to be almost at a no-kill facility, it's unheard of. Because we have no parameters, no matter how vicious, how sick, how injured, how full we are, we have to continuously take in the animals. A big piece of what brings to our success is how unconventional Cleveland and Cuyahoga County is and how we work together. But to be at 11.8%, it even is, I'm pleased because it exceeded my expectations on what we could do so far this year.
Okay, I don't mean to be harboring. I just want to make sure in case somebody asks, I want to repeat the fact. You are down. Of the 100%, you are now down to 11% as opposed to a percentage of what the previous total was. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Because you use 46%.
11.8% of the dogs that come into our facility are
Total
euthanized.
animals. Okay, all right. That's
sorry for the confusion.
If you were at 46% and you're down to 11,
correct.
You're down almost 400%.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That's. I just want to make
You're
sure.
correct.
Yeah,
yes.
I just want to make sure. That's phenomenal. What would it take? And what I think at least I'm hearing is you would never envision being at zero. I mean, Rescue Village is a zero.
Yes.
What would it take, and would you ever want to be at zero? I mean, other than the vicious animals.
This is a way to help us. It is a way to these reduced fees to help us continue to move dogs. We have not done a lot of euthanizing for space because we've been very proactive with it. There's a lot of uncontrollable factors. We can't turn a dog away. There's no matter how sick, if there's disease, how vicious a dog is. So getting to 0% in the Cleveland area with some urban demographics may be quite a challenge. We'll still push for it. We'll work as close as we can to save the dogs that are safe. But our first concern is always public safety. And if an animal isn't safe and could potentially be dangerous to someone, it will be humanely euthanized. In addition to move towards that number, there's other programs that we're working on as far as humane education, reducing promoting sterilization. So getting there will be a extreme challenge, but we're going to keep moving in that direction.
How much of that, I mean, if we saved those animals based on space, What amount do you think is that? Because that's just a matter of finding the right dollars and finding the right program to be able to save some more of that 11%.
For 2014, for space, I don't think it would change our number.
Oh, okay. So
I personally sign off on question on every euthanasia that happens in our facility. That 11% number wouldn't move.
So the bulk of that sounds like it's actually dangerous or animals
Or
that
health.
Or health.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? And so the committee, if they don't know, which I think they do, the funding for the dog kennel comes from the license fees. And
Can I just throw in, since Mr. Foley was here and he left, they passed this law, like, 2 years ago, that we have to send some money to the Ohio State Veterinary College.
Correct.
So I wrote them a letter, says, we got to send this money, can you do something for us? Send us some interns, and they told us no.
Been going down there for a long time, hasn't
No,
it?
I think this is
just
new.
recently, only the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we have to send them, what is it, Bonnie, a couple of percent or something? It's a nice little chunk that we send them, so I figured, could you send us an intern, or could you, help us treat a dog once in a while? And they said, no, we take care of dogs all over the state, we do this research, and no, we won't give you anything, so I gave it a shot.
so how's that impacting the kennel with that loss of dollars?
We've seen an increase in our license sales this year. We've really pushed, and it was very grassroots in our first year in trying to push our license sales. We actually are setting up some meetings for getting ready for the 2015 campaign and what we're going to be doing. At this point, we haven't seen the impact of that.
Good, and Top Dog is part of that formula to
Yes.
get those dog licenses sold. And my dog Newman came from the county kennel, and he is doing great, and he is transitioning to a vegetarian diet. With a few bones he finds, he cheats when I need to calm him down. Yep.
And have we checked every elected official to see if they have a dog license and a dog?
I don't.
Never mind. I got that question.
I do.
Good job.
And all of us who can have a dog should have a dog, so please visit the county kennel. Everybody here who's able to adopt, please do your share and support our county kennel. At least go visit it. Okay, so I'm going to move this, make a motion to move this to the full council for second reading. And it's just second reading. I don't think we need to suspend. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, thanks very much. This will go on the council agenda. And with that being said, I don't have any miscellaneous business, except we'll come back in detail on the sustainability issue department and public comment. Madam Clerk?
No, Madam Chair, no one has signed in.
Thank you, everybody. Meeting's adjourned.